I'm going to be refuting my opponent's claim that the nuclear fuel cycle causes CO2 emissions, and that there's no permanent waste site, and that it's expensive. So the value of nuclear power in providing price stability, secure of energy supply, and low emission baseload electricity has in recent years been increasingly recognized. My opponent said that they're expensive. Well, nuclear power costs are not expensive, and according to the U.S. Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, nuclear power costs 1.2 cents per kilowatt an hour, while oil and gas costs above 5.5 cents. And that according to the World Nuclear Association report, in the USA, operating costs shrank by 44% between the 1930s and 2003. Now, if costs for nuclear energy would be higher than coal or oil, no one would ever want to build a new generation of nuclear plants, if for the same price you can get solar or geothermal power on demand. As my partner stated, if controlled properly, then nuclear power can be extremely attractive, both cost-wise and environmental-wise. As I mentioned earlier, nuclear power is a low-emission baseload for electricity. My opponent said that it raises CO2 emissions. Well, according to the Energy Association Administration, when nuclear power is produced, nothing is burnt in a conventional sense. Heat is produced through nuclear fission, not oxidation. Nuclear power does produce spent fuels of roughly the same mass and volume as the fuel that the reactor takes in. These spent fuels are kept within the reactor's fuel assemblies. Thus, unlike fossil fuels, which emit stack gases to the environment, solid waste at nuclear power plants are contained throughout the generation process, and no particulates or ash are emitted. My partner stated that nuclear power is also safe if managed properly. According to the Clean and Safe Energy Coalition, nuclear energy is safe and secure. Strict government regulations and continuous training by industry and enhanced security measures have combined to ensure safety inside and outside America's nuclear power plants. Nuclear power is also safe for humans, and according to the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, an operating nuclear power plant produces very small amounts of direct radiation. If you lived within 50 miles of a nuclear power plant, you would receive an average radiation close of about 0.01 millirem per year. So to put this into perspective, the average person in the U.S. receives an exposure of 300 millirem per year from natural background sources of radiation. So standing next to a nuclear plant, I am exposed to only 0.5% more radiation than when sitting in my living room. And according to the Clean and Safe Energy Coalition, also building more nuclear power plants will reduce dependence on foreign oil. Barack Obama stated that our reliance on oil poses a threat to our economic security. Over the last few decades, we have watched our economy rise and fall along with the price of a barrel of oil. We must commit ourselves to an economic future in which the strength of our economy is not tied to the unpredictability of oil markets. We must make the investment in clean energy sources that will curb our dependence on fossil fuels and make America energy independent. We know that America imports a lot of oil from other countries. The prices of these products is unpredictable and can change very quickly. If the price increases quickly, consumers have to pay more for their electricity. Building more nuclear power plants means that America will not be susceptible to price rises in oil and gas. My partner said that there is no permanent site to store the spent fuels. Well, disposing nuclear waste underground is the most efficient method to store it, and is said to be harmless. According to the National Research Council, geologic disposal remains the only scientifically and technically credible long-term solution available to meet the need for safety without reliance on active management. So as long as nuclear waste remains in a solid form and is properly shielded, it will not harm people or contaminate the environment, and over time it produces less and less radiation. The idea behind deep geological disposal, therefore, is to keep the waste as dry and isolated as possible for as long as possible so that its radiation can diminish to safe levels. Most plants store the spent fuels in pools of water, which acts as a radiation shield and coolant. A few plants store spent fuel above ground in special concrete or steel caps. Both types of storage are temporary, and the storage pools are almost full. So now the Department of Energy is focusing on a permanent site to store the waste in the mountains of Nevada. Isolated in a deep underground repository, the waste would not be subject to the many environmental factors that on the Earth's surface would cause it to break down into radioactive particles that could be dispersed by air or water into the environment. The transportation from the temporary site to the permanent site is also safe. And according to the U.S. Security of Energy, our nation experienced to date 2,700 shipments, 1.6 million miles, and 30 years, and no harmful release of radiation when they transport it. So if the mountain is approved and a repository is built, transportation of spent nuclear fuel and high-level radioactive waste from 131 temporary storage sites located in 39 states would begin. The Department of Energy projects that it would conduct approximately 4,300 shipments over a 24-year period. The Department of Transportation enforces rules that the Department of Energy must follow. With that said, advanced routes must be approved, there must be shipment escorts, and that the department will track its shipments by satellite on a 24-hour basis.